98% of the attributes of a leader are skills that can be developed. Nobody is born an effective communicator. Nobody is born good at planning. Nobody is born as a great strategist or good at casting vision. These are all skills that are developed. They're habits that can be developed. In December 2023, a quarterback walked off the football field having made history. He had accomplished something that hadn't been done in over 50 years, and the interesting thing was he wasn't even supposed to be there. Hey, welcome to the Construction Leading Edge podcast. My name is Todd Dawalt. I'm the founder of the Construction Leading Edge and your host. And over the past almost 10 years now, we have been all about helping construction business owners have a business that it's a source of more impact, more freedom, and more wealth. We're going to get back to that quarterback in just a few minutes. So here's the deal. This episode is for you if any of the following statements apply to you. If you find yourself saying or thinking any of these things, or if any of these statements apply to you, you want the next 12 months to be different from the last 12 months. If you want to accomplish something in the next 90 days or the next 12 months or sometime in the future that you haven't been able to accomplish yet, this is for you. If you feel stuck when it comes to your business or anything in your life, or maybe you even feel like you've gone backwards with something, if you have a tendency to set goals and then struggle to turn them into reality, this is going to help. And basically, if you want to move the needle, or if you want something to change in your life, something to change in your career, something to change in your business, this is for you. So if that's for you, if any of those apply to you, let's talk about two concepts. And then we'll hear from a construction business owner who set some goals and made some changes in his business. And he talks about the results that he's experienced. So two concepts we want to talk about. We're going to make sure and get back to that quarterback as well. So the first concept to understand, if you want to make some changes in your life, number one, different results require different habits. All right. Different results require different habits. In his book, Atomic Habits, which is incredibly popular, James Clear says this: you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Let me say that again. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your goal, he says, is your desired outcome. Your system is the collection of daily habits that will get you there. His advice and my advice is the same. This year, spend less time focusing on outcomes and more time focusing on the habits that precede the results. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So if you want different results, you need different habits. It's not enough just to set goals. You have to turn them into habits. What we do with our CEO Alliance members, a big part of the work we do is to create 12-month outcomes, work backwards into quarterly goals, but then we turn those into habits, daily habits, weekly habits, monthly habits, things that will make those performance goals possible. So when it comes to habits, systems, and beliefs, and James Clear uses habits and systems interchangeably, there could be a few old habits, a few old systems, if you will, that are holding you back in your life and in your business, specifically in your business. So a few things to be aware of that could be the reason that you're not making progress. While you set goals and get stuck, while you set goals, maybe even go backwards. So here are 7 old habits, old systems, and old beliefs that could be holding you back. This is something we see with the people we talk to, and I speak with hundreds of people a year. So one of the habits and systems, if you will, that hold people back is indecision, just not making a decision. Another habit or a system or a belief pattern is, quote, I don't have time. I don't have time to do this thing that's important. I don't have time to make this decision. I don't have time to make a change. I don't have time. There's not enough hours in the day. Number 3, this one's very prevalent, is I have to do it myself. I have to figure this out on my own. I have to create the system. I have to start from scratch. I have to reinvent the wheel. And then I have to do all of the work myself. Even if I have a team, I have to do it myself. Number 4, a bad habit is holding on to control or micromanaging, or the unwillingness to let go of control of things in your business. Specifically, procrastination is huge. Procrastination is a big one. And if you're wondering, are there different types of procrastination? What type of procrastinator am I? I would encourage you to go listen to episode 276 of the Construction Leading Edge podcast, where we talk about, Leyah Hostetter and I talk about procrastination, the various types. And I got to tell you, that one was pretty uncomfortable for me. It might hurt a little bit when you watch that one. Might hurt a little bit, but it's good for you. A couple more habits and systems. Another common one is avoiding difficult situations. I've certainly done it in the past. It's still pretty tempting to do that. When there's a difficult situation, a difficult decision that has to be made, a difficult conversation, a bad habit is to avoid it and run away from it. And the 7th bad habit is the scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset. We're probably going to talk about that on a future episode, because it's such a big deal. So those are some old habits to get rid of. First of all, you have to clean the house and get rid of these old habits and then replace them with new habits. But let me ask you a question. What's one thing that you would like to change in your life? What's the next level you want to get to in your career, for example? Or if you own a business, what's the next level you want to get to in your business? Maybe there's a certain job you'd like to have. You'd like to get promoted up to a certain level if you are an employee, or if you own a business, maybe there's a revenue level, a profitability level, or a type of project, or some level you want to achieve. And then what about your personal life? What do you want to be different about if you're married? What do you want to be different about your marriage? What about with your kids? Is there something you'd like to change about your relationship with your kids? What about your spiritual life? Is there something you'd like to change there? And then last but not least, what about your health? Is there something you'd like to change about your health? So, for example, let's run through a few examples of some common changes people want to make, things they want to achieve. And we'll talk about some habits on how to get there. So, for example, let's say you want to get promoted to a project manager, or you want to get promoted to a director of operations position. Maybe if you own a business, you want to be considered the CEO of a business that's doing, say, $5 million in revenue, maybe a $10 million a year business. Or on a personal level, this one's pretty important. You want to have a great marriage that lasts for 50 years, right? I've been married 27 years. And I can tell you it's very rewarding, very challenging to stay married that long. And it's incredibly important. So that's a big one. Let's not forget about marriage. Let's not forget about relationships with kids. So question number 1 is, what's one thing you want to change in your life, whether it's in your career, your business, your personal life? And then question number 2, here's the question I want you to really think about. Here's the question. It's pretty easy to talk about goals. Yeah, I want to get promoted. I want to be the CEO of a $10 million a year business. I want to have a great marriage. All right. Here's the question that may surprise you. The question is, when will you start acting like that person? When will you start acting like that next level of your career? When will you start acting like the CEO of a $5 million or $10 million a year business? When will you start acting like somebody who will stay married for 50 years? In other words, when will you take on the characteristics of that person? When will you exhibit the characteristics of that person? When will you display the habits of that person? Remember, if you want different results require different habits. So when will you exhibit the habits of that person? If you want to be promoted, think about this. Will your boss promote you, and then do you expect to start developing those habits? If you want to be a project manager or the director of operations, do you think you're going to get promoted and then you'll start developing those habits? If you if you're a business owner, will your business take off and suddenly spike up to 5 million in revenue or 10 million in revenue, and then you can start developing those habits? Do you think that's how it's going to work? Or will you wait until you have a great marriage and then you can start being the kind of person who has a great marriage, right? It's kind of ridiculous when you think about that. It's sort of like saying, I don't have time to do anything right now, so I'm going to wait until I have more time to figure out how to create time. Or I'm losing money, but I'm going to wait until my business is more profitable and then figure out how to stop losing money. It's just this when-then fallacy. When this happens, then I'll do the thing that I need to do in order to solve this problem, right? So it's kind of ridiculous. But unfortunately, that's how a lot of people think. So that leads us to the second thing that I want to talk about. So the first concept is different results require different habits. And the question I would challenge you with is, when will you display the habits? When will you start to display the habits of that person you want to be, right? So before we get to that next thing, I want to let you know about a resource we have available for you if you're a construction business owner. It is our strategic planning guide, which is designed exclusively for construction business owners. And it is an essential tool that'll help you navigate the next 12 months of your business. It's a free resource that is now free. It's over the past 5 years, it's been used by hundreds of our clients, and it's going to help you clarify your strategy and clearly define your goals and outcomes, and even some habits that you need to develop for the next 12 months. And right now you can download your copy for free by going to constructionleadingedge.com/planning, PLANNING. That's constructionleadingedge.com/planning. Go download our strategic planning guide, and it might be worth spending a couple of hours to create your strategy for the next 12 months. All right. So the first concept is different results require different habits. Do you believe that? Do you agree? If so, the second, if not, you should probably just abandon ship right now. The second concept is that if you want different results, then you have to go first. Okay. For example, if you want to get promoted to a project manager or a director of operations, then you'll need to develop those skills and those habits first. You'll need to be organized. You'll need to be able to communicate well. You need to be accountable for results. You need to solve problems on your own. You need to exhibit some leadership skills. You need to develop those things first in order for you to get promoted. So let's talk about leadership for a minute. I think there's a common myth out there that leaders are born. There are people who are just born with this leadership, this charisma, this something that's magical and mystical. But I want you to think about a good leader. We're not talking about like George Washington or Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr. We're talking about business leaders, people you've worked with, maybe somebody who has been your boss or a manager or a mentor. Think about the characteristics of that person, the attributes of them. They probably communicated well. Maybe they planned. They were conscientious. They were empathetic. They were good communicators, or probably a handful of things. And if you made a list of the attributes of a good leader, and you looked at them and asked, is this attribute something that they're born with? Is it based on genetics? Is it at the DNA level? Or is it a skill? I would say I've gone through this exercise a dozen or so times with live events with groups that I've spoken to, and 98% of the attributes of a leader are skills that can be developed. Nobody is born an effective communicator. Nobody is born good at planning. Nobody is born as a great strategist or good at casting vision. These are all skills that are developed. They're habits that can be developed. Another example, if you want different results, you have to go first. If you want to be the CEO of a $5 million a year business or the CEO of a $10 million a year business, then you need to start acting like a CEO who builds a business, you need to go first. You need to start acting like that CEO. You need to start taking on the attributes of that CEO. You need to act less like someone who builds projects and more like someone who builds a business. That's how CEOs behave. You'll need to develop habits and skills like your ability to create and implement systems, the ability to get the team on board with the vision, leadership skills, communication. You need to have some habits around the financial side of the business, the understanding of accounting, which is the language of business, according to Warren Buffett. So you need to start acting like that CEO now. You need to start taking on those habits and developing those habits and skills now so that you will actually be able to support that business when it happens. If you want to have a great marriage that lasts 50 years, if you want to be someone who is married half a century, then you need to develop some habits and skills like communication. You need to be able to communicate well. You need to show some gratitude. I'm reminded of a scene from one of my favorite Christmas movies, Four Christmases, where Robert Duvall and his sons, Orlando and Denver, and I forget the other guy's name, they're standing on the roof, and Robert Duvall says, "I don't mean to speak ill of your mother, but I never lied to her face. I put a roof over her head," and I don't remember whatever it was. But he was not exhibiting the habits of a good husband, and as a result, his wife had left him. So you need to develop habits. If you want to stay married for 50 years, start working on habits. You need to be able to communicate well, show some gratitude, maybe show some appreciation every once in a while. You need to know how to resolve differences. Believe me, you need to be able to resolve differences. If you want to stay married 50 years, there are some habits and skills you need to develop. You will not stay married 50 years if you don't develop those things. Now, let's go back to that quarterback I mentioned at the beginning. As I said, it was December of 2023, and this quarterback walked off the field having made history, and he wasn't even supposed to be there. And that quarterback is Jake Browning, okay? And he is with the Cincinnati Bengals, and he made history with his elite performance in December of 2023 in a surprising win where the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. And according to ESPN, Jake Browning became the first undrafted player in the draft era, basically since 1967. The first person who was undrafted since 1967 to throw for 350 passing yards and complete 85% of his passes in a game. This guy threw for 350 yards and had an 85% completion percentage. And he wasn't even supposed to be there because he was the backup quarterback. And this was his second career start. So I wondered, this guy came off the bench, backing up Joe Burrow, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league after Burrow got injured. So I wondered when Jake Browning started developing the habits of a starting quarterback. When did he wait until he got a shot to start developing those habits? Sure didn't seem like it, because when he came off the bench, he looked like a starting quarterback. So here's what I found when I did some research. I found that Jake Browning, even though he was undrafted, he was actually cut by the Minnesota Vikings, and he was the backup quarterback for 2 years. He spent 2 years on the Bengals scout team, and he was the practice guy. He helped the Bengals defense get ready for the games. That was his purpose. So what he did was he started going to the defensive back meetings during the week to learn more and to help them out. And eventually they started inviting him. I think he showed up uninvited, but they started bringing him in, and he developed the habits. He did the work, even though he didn't even know if he would get a shot. Frankly, if everything went well, Jake Browning never would have gotten a shot. He was not supposed to be on the field because he was the backup guy. And the only reason he was there is because the starter was injured. But Jake Browning went first. And when his shot came, he was ready. You see, there are two attitudes about opportunities. There are two attitudes about opportunities. There is the if attitude, and there's the until attitude. So the if attitude sounds something like this. It says, I'll put in the work if I get the opportunity. I'll get better at the financial side of the business if my business takes off. I'll work on my systems if my business grows. I'm going to wait and see if I need to do this, and then I'll do it. That's the if. I'll put in the work if I need to, if my business grows. I'll put in the work if my marriage lasts, right? Then there's the until attitude. And Jake Browning, I believe, has the until attitude, which says, I'll put in the work until I get the opportunity. I'll get better at the financial side of the business until my business grows. I'll work on my systems until my business grows, right? The if attitude or the until attitude. One says, if I get the opportunity, then I'll do the work. The other says, I'll do the work in case I get the opportunity or until I get the opportunity. So my question for you is, which approach do you think works better? If you want to sustain success, if you want to achieve success and then sustain success, which works better? The if approach, the if attitude, or the until attitude? What do you think would have happened if Jake Browning had not put the work in for 2 years as a backup? What if he had not studied the game? What if he had not prepared? What if he just thought, you know what, I'm just going to wait. If I ever get a shot, then I'll do the work. Nobody knows, but there's a pretty good chance he would not have made history in December of 2023. So I want to challenge you to answer a few questions, and then we're going to hear from a construction business owner who set some goals, made some changes in his business, and you'll hear about how it turned out. There are 3 questions that I would challenge you to answer if you want some different results in some area of your life in the near future. Number 1 is, what is one outcome you would like to achieve in the next 90 days? What is one thing you would like to be different in your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your health, in your spiritual life in the next 90 days? Just one thing that you want to be different in the next 90 days. Number 2, you may want to hit pause and write these down. Number 2, what are some of the habits you need to develop to make that outcome more likely to happen? What are some things you need to do every day, every week, every month? Habits, systems you need to put in place. Remember what James Clear said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems or your habits. So what are some of the habits you need to develop in order to support that outcome? And then number 3, how will you build in accountability to increase the chances of success? One thing I've learned is that it's not about information, right? It's not about just writing down goals. Anybody can write down goals, but it's really about implementation. And the key to implementation is accountability. And what I found is the key to implementation, the key to success is layers of accountability. So how will you build in accountability, maybe even layers of accountability to increase the chances of your success? So those are 3 questions I would challenge you to think about. What's one outcome you want to achieve in the next 90 days? Number 2, what are some of the habits you need to develop? Some things you need to do every day, every week, every month to support that outcome. And then how will you build in accountability to increase the chances of success? Think about that. Now, let's hear from a guy who decided he wanted to make some significant changes in his construction business. Find out, what changes did he make? What systems did he put in place? And ultimately, how did it turn out? Did it work? And what sort of results did he see? And I would encourage you to listen for when he shares what a repeat customer said about her before and after experience with them. Our Leyah Hostetter, our director of customer success, recently sat down with Charles Grant, the owner of Seven Ridges Construction. He went through our Systematize Your Construction Business program. And here's that conversation with Leyah Hostetter and Charles Grant. Enjoy. And I'll be right back after that.
All right, Charles, thank you so much for joining me and sharing it a bit about you and your business. In fact, let's just start off right there.
Yes, absolutely. So we are a custom builder and remodeler located in Central Virginia. We're a team of 9 right now. We probably build 4 to 5 custom homes a year and maybe anywhere from 15 to 20 remodels, ranging from small bathroom remodels all the way to full home interior exterior renovations.
Very good. Okay, and I'm going to ask you, you've been out of the SYCB program for about a month. So let's go back about 3 to 4 months ago before you joined this program. Tell me, what were some of the challenges and some of the problems that you were having back then?
One of the biggest ones was lack of details on jobs. And again, with the different sizes of jobs that we're doing, sometimes it would be a small job and it would be a lack of just 1 or 2 small details, or really just lack of a good game plan before the job began. We were trying to pull so many things together after the job started, and we always wanted to make things right for the customer, but that resulted having to happen by going back after the job was completed to take care of stuff. So pretty much just throwing money in the trash can. That was one of the biggest things. Yeah, it was lack of clarity for sure, just on the scope of the project. So.
And what was that? What did that frustration feel like for you personally?
It honestly resulted in me wondering if this is even something that I wanted to continue doing. We're a first generation business, so I'm not taking this over from my parents or anything. A lot of passion in it to get it started and going to where it is, but it would be so bad. I can recall probably 2 handfuls of times over the past few years. I just sit down with my wife and ask, is this worth the cost? There's a cost on your family. There's a cost on your literal health.
Yeah.
And then just the mental burden that seemed to constantly be there.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. So.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? You mentioned the cost, and everything comes with a cost, right? So what was that, I guess, negative cost, or what was that costing you back then in some of those areas? What were some of the ways that
Yeah.
that was showing up?
Sure. Emotional costs would be disagreements, financial strain, just the mental strain that comes with, and then the literal cost, sitting down and doing job costs and seeing things where the guys, you see them putting in effort and you see them doing a good job and working hard, and breaking even on a job,
Mm-hmm.
no profit, and that's just a kick in the shins. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
it's really defeating. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a step forward from some of those frustrations and problems. You're now in the SYCB program. At what point in the program did you realize, wow, I think this is really going to help? This is going to make a difference for us.
Yes. I would say the very first day, just the clarity of the path. But really, and y'all say this so many times, but for us, it was nail the handoff. With that, though, I think for us being younger, and I kind of mentioned this, but we did not have a lot of systems and processes in place at all. There was just a lack of structure in our business as a whole. So, what nail the handoff did for us was more than even just what y'all coach. It just really brought us up to speed in an inconceivable way. Like the amount of things that we had to create and get on board with. And it was almost like putting everything else we were doing on hold for what seemed like a good month and a half, and just hammering down on creating documents, scripts, checklists, everything, back checking it, having meetings, and pulling it all together. And now there really is a system. Like there really is a true system, all the way from cold lead to the start of a job. So.
Wow. And how is that different for you and your team now?
It's completely different. There's accountability now, where there was not accountability before. There's confidence, and some of even the younger guys that didn't have confidence, because there's literally a physical book, and then our project management software has all of the details in it to start. So where they would, I would jump into trying to give them some of the inner working details of a project, and they're like, dude, I don't even know what this is yet. Like, what is it? And now that's not the case. There's kind of a big picture
Uh-huh.
before we even begin. I think customers, we were fortunate enough to do a job for a previous customer very recently. After going through the program, we were able to test all of our new systems. And she came to us at the end and like very blatantly told us like it was such a different experience for her than the
Wow.
past job we had done. And I guess, we had done okay enough that she brought us back, but she was like, this is night and day difference from my end. So that was huge validation for us, hearing that directly from a customer.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool that you had that contrast of a client that you worked
Yeah,
with before and then after, and to be able to see that was probably really validating and felt really good for you and your team to see the progress that you've made. That's great.
absolutely. Yeah, it was ideal.
So this may be the same answer of what you just said, but what do you think is the most impactful or beneficial thing that you learned in the program?
It really would be, again, I won't make it as simple as just saying nail the handoff, but it does come down to that. And it's just the understanding the size and scale of your business and what it is that you handle in house or a subcontract. And then just having a system to gather the details, all the way from just the customer's information, their name and phone number. Like that would happen, run into a small issue, need to get a hold of the phone number of the homeowner, and it's not there. And now just all the way from that to the color of every wall in every room, every trim detail, everything. And it does take some work on the front end, obviously getting these jobs started up, but it just like you feel it paying off the duration of the entire job.
Mhm. And you and your team were really you were master kind of implementers in all of this. You put your heads down and you got to work. You really started, like you mentioned, the checklists and the scripts and all the things. Tell me about a little bit about that process for you and your team and how that shifted things for you guys internally. I'm assuming that that kind of created a change in your culture as well.
It did. Yeah, very much did. This is something that I've doing a program like this, and then this program specifically was actually brought to us by one of our guys who had been following y'all very thoroughly for a while. And he was like, man, this stuff checks out. This is great. You should look into it. So we looked into it and hopped right in. And I think I was pretty fearful of myself maybe not doing as much as I knew I needed to do. Just knowing that the real payoff was going to come from implementing it, not just
Mhm.
sitting and watching the videos and showing up to the calls, like actually doing the work. So almost out of fear of not like utilizing the course to its fullest, just kind of told everybody like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Be prepared for jobs to slow down. Obviously, we have to, respect the customers and keep everything moving, but like
Mhm.
this will be our top priority until the course is fully completed, and then committing to that. And it was really outside of just maintaining our actual workflow. This is the only thing that we worked on. And there
Amazing.
was some times where it was uncomfortable forcing meetings in
Yeah.
on days where we didn't feel we had the time, but it
Mhm.
definitely paid off. And it honestly flies. The time spent in the course, it just flies by. So I would highly recommend using every opportunity and minute that you get to work on it while it's all there in front of you.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you mentioned about kind of slowing things down, because I think so many people are fearful of that, right? We're so busy, but it's that idea of slowing down to be able to go fast. And now you guys are probably hitting the accelerator pretty hard, I would imagine, because you have all these things in place that you took the time to put in, and you can utilize them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really great. Well, just one more question. And you had shared a bit of a story with me earlier. Maybe you'll share that again now. But how is life different for you now that you've gone through the program and you've implemented these things into your business?
Yeah. So, right in the beginning of the course, I actually had a little bit of a boo boo on a job, and I tore my bicep. And then almost right at the end of the course, it was a whole series of events, but I ended up getting it checked out and assessed, and it came out that surgery was going to be the best option. So, right at the truly at the very end of the course, I kind of got rushed into a little bit of an early surgery that put me like completely on the sidelines for multiple weeks, and still very much kind of on the sidelines and just a supporting role. And I think the course couldn't have come at a better time because I honestly don't know what would have happened if we didn't have these systems in place. We never missed a beat. We finished the stuff just in time. The guys had gotten used to using everything and following our processes right there at the end. And so I was able to just step to the side and get out of their way. So that's extremely exciting for us as we go into this new year. I think, we can just lean on that and really step on the gas.
Wow.
It was fantastic. So
Yeah,
very thankful.
that probably felt nice to know that you could step away and things could continue to run, and the train wasn't running off the track, and that there's probably a lot of confidence that was built for you and for your team through that process.
Yes, absolutely. Just an inconceivable amount.
That's amazing. I'm going to ask you one more question. So at the beginning, you said that what you were doing came at a cost, and there were a lot of costs mentally, emotionally, with your family, relationships. I'm assuming a lot of that has shifted for you as well.
Yes. Yeah, it really has. There was so much time where I felt like we would literally lose the business if we didn't work after work to pull extra details together, just working as fast as you can during the day and then trying to recover and get, back end work completed in the evenings and on weekends. And that's, it just takes a huge toll on your family. And that's not the case now. We literally have somebody in a role, pre-construction coordinator, and they're taking care of putting those details together every day, all day. And so it's like we can go home. Like we can go home at 5:30, and stop and know that when we fire it up the next day, the details are there. We're all moving everything in the right direction. Our scheduling is so much more accurate. Our scheduling used to be horrible, and it's great now. Like we've given people dates a couple months out, and we show up right when we say we're going to show up. There's just a new level of accuracy. But
Amazing. I know I promised one question, but I'm going to ask one more if that's okay.
absolutely.
How has your team received all of this? And how is it different for them now?
Yeah. They are super excited about it. And this maybe kind of shines a light in a dark place for me. I think I knew that there was a lack of confidence and some frustration and confusion before, and maybe kind of tried to just not look in that direction. And so now going through this, we were able to just see them kind of like open up and they're like, oh, thank goodness. Like I didn't want to say anything, we didn't want to seem like we were complaining, but like we're so thankful that, you're going through this and going to do this because like it was a constant problem, many constant problems. So they received it extremely well. They've ran with it. Like I said, our lead guy is the one that it really brought it to us. So like he just is all about it. And he's been great, even coaching other people on following our systems. And as we continue to hire and bring new people in, their structure, they love it. That's something I hadn't seen before. Just trying to get people up to speed on work as fast as possible versus now like showing them the accountability chart and they can see a path of growth for them. And then going on site and having a plan where they're like capable of succeeding has been really cool for hiring. And it's something that I didn't, fully anticipate to get from this course, but it's absolutely been a side effect.
And you just hired a couple of new people, correct?
Yeah.
You're in process.
2 new people starting next week. Yep.
Amazing. That's so great. Well, I'm really happy to hear all of these good, positive results, Charles, and I'm sure you're going to continue to have many more. Thank you for taking time to chat with me about this.
All right. Thanks, Leyah. Charles, nice work. We look forward to seeing the results from you and your team in the coming months. Nice work, putting the work in, having the accountability, implementing systems and processes, and it's pretty exciting to see that kind of stuff. So let me ask you this. If you're listening to this, if you own a construction business, would you like to get out of parts of your business? Would you like to get out of some of the day-to-day firefighting? If so, we have a free masterclass that's available right now. It is titled Get Out of Your Construction Business, How to Make It Run Without You. There are several things you're going to take away when you access this free masterclass. You'll learn about the JETS thinking trap that's very likely keeping you stuck working in your business and how you can solve that trap. You'll learn the first few crucial steps if you want to spend more time working on your business instead of being stuck working in it. You'll learn how to nail the handoff and eliminate 80% of your preventable schedule delays and profit bleeds. like Charles talked about. And then ultimately, some of the keys to have a construction business that runs without you, even if you've been working 70 hours a week for the past several years and you have no idea where to start. Right now, you can get your hands on that free masterclass. Get out of your business, get out of your construction business, how to make it run without you. You can get that by going to constructionleadingedge.com/get out, GETOUT. And I have one more resource before you go. Here it is. And hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more details over at constructionleadingedge.com/podcast. And if you get value out of this podcast, would you do me a favor? Would you please leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify? And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you own a construction business and you feel stuck or you feel like you're spending too much time in day-to-day firefighting, maybe dealing with all of the problems, if everything's stuck in your head, or if you just don't feel like you have time or energy to work on your business because you feel like you're stuck working in it, if you want your business to run without you so you can take a vacation, or maybe to be able to sell your business one day, or if you just frankly want the business to survive if something happens to you, then there are 4 crucial systems that you need to have in place. Number 1, if you're a home builder, remodeler, or commercial general contractor, you have to get paid for estimates. Those free estimates are killing your bottom line, sucking the life out of you. And you can get all the tools you need to get paid for estimates, the templates, sales scripts, pricing guidance, and let's face it, the confidence that you need. You can get all of that for free right now over at constructionleadingedge.com/start. You'll get the entire Get Paid for Estimates masterclass. Go to constructionleadingedge.com/start. You can get all of that for free. The second crucial system is that you need to design your business for the future. You need to establish the major functions of your business and the results that each function is accountable for. You need to have clearly defined roles and responsibilities. This is the foundation of every successful business, and the best way to do that is to design your accountability chart for the future. Number 3, you need to design and document your process to nail the handoff from the office to the field. This is a very disciplined and documented process that maps out every step of the pre-construction process. Look, companies that are good construction companies are actually good pre-construction companies. They're good pre-construction companies. And when you design your nail the handoff process and you have this in place, this is going to eliminate 80% of the profit bleeds and the schedule delays and chaos on your job sites. And you'll also need to learn the secret sauce for getting your team to actually implement and follow a process. Number 4, the 4th crucial system are the leadership systems that your team will use to convert your goals into reality. Look, somebody needs to be planning tomorrow's work today. Someone needs to be doing a 2-week look ahead. Someone needs to be establishing the most important things for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And you need to be having regular team meetings that are actually functional. Those are your leadership systems. And if you would like our help putting those crucial systems in place in your business so that your business can run without you, so you can get out of day-to-day firefighting and take that firefighter hat off, or if you want to be able to sell your business one day, here's the next step. Go to constructionleadingedge.com/apply and schedule a free business evaluation call with our team. On that call, we're going to do a few things. We'll help you uncover the real root causes of your problems. Number 2, help you get clear on your objectives that you want to accomplish. And then number 3, to map out a plan to make it a reality. We'll also share with you some of the things that our construction business owner clients are doing to accomplish their goals and solve the problems that you're probably dealing with. And then if you're a fit, if it looks like we have a good mutual fit, we'll discuss our Systematize Your Construction Business program. So to schedule your free business evaluation, head on over to constructionleadingedge.com/apply, APPLY. Hey, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.